You're listening to Video Villa Podcast, episode 28, Silver Linings Playbook by David O. Russell. So today we are talking to you about a love story, because who doesn't love love, as I always say. And we're going to talk about the 2012 Silver Linings Playbook, starring not only Jennifer Lawrence, which I absolutely love her humor and dry commentary, but as well as Bradley Cooper, who's also seen in one of Logan's genuine favorite movies, which is A Star Is Born.
It's one of my favorite. I do like the remake. It is good. It is one of those you can't just keep on rewatching. It's one of the movies that if you watch it once, you got to let it sizzle out a little bit, then come back to it and let it sizzle out a little bit.
Once was fine for me.
I know. A lot of people do feel that way. It's kind of like kind of like Benjamin Button. You can only watch that movie once, and then it's like,
I've never even seen Benjamin Button. I've seen portions of it, but not all the way through, because isn't it like a pretty long movie?
It's okay. I'm not gonna lie.
Or maybe the story drags on.
It played out to be a lot better than it actually was. But as far as The Star Is Born, it's very emotional, very moving.
Well, we've watched A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
I will say, what year did A Star Is Born come out?
I don't know, 2016, 2017, something like that.
I feel like Bradley Cooper looks so much older than in this for 2012, and it was only, say 4 or 6 years.
I mean, you could have some work done. I do feel like he's had a little work done. As most
not
movie
work
stars.
done. I mean, work done wouldn't make someone look older. But
oh, yeah, sorry. I don't know.
Not that he aged badly. He just looks much more mature. And granted, I do feel like in this, they gave him, the buzz cut. And because of the nature of the theme of this movie,
well, yeah,
he probably intentionally was supposed to look like young and ruffled and
if you look at
whatever.
If you look at pictures of him now versus pictures of him then, I mean, he definitely looks a little bit different now. And it's not just from like aging, obviously. Something he's had, as most people do, injections and stuff like that, I'm sure of. I mean, you're in the business and you try to look young as possible. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And he was, he was already 37 when he shot this movie. So he was already.
Oh my God. So then how old was he in A Star Is Born? Well, plus 4, 6.
Yeah. So he was definitely in his 40s. He
so he looked the part. Okay, so I'll rewind a little bit. I feel like he looked his age in A Star Is Born, but then in this, for being 37, he definitely looks like his younger 30s, late 20s.
Yeah, well, also, you got to think of Star Is Born, he's alcoholic. So, I mean, a lot of that makeup goes into play if they give him the flush red cheeks and so forth. So, it would make sense for him to look a little bit more aged because he's a rock star. You know what I mean? Versus like this movie where it's, I mean, it's just, it's definitely a completely different character.
Yeah. What does he say when he touches her nose?
Huh?
What does he say in the scene where he like traces her nose or whatever?
I just want to get another look at you.
Yeah, that acting made me cringe.
And then he's like, I just want to get another look at you.
That acting made me cringe.
It's a big, I guess, GIF now.
Huh?
It's a big, well, it's like a little TikTok, like a little thing.
A Jeff?
I didn't say Jeff. I said GIF.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say Jeff and you're saying Jeff.
No,
all right.
Don't date me like that. I ain't old. I was around when GIFs came out. I know what they are.
Is it a GIF or a GIF?
Oh, I don't know. Caramel. Who knows?
Tomato.
Back to Silver Linings Playbook. But yes, I do love this movie, and I've loved this movie ever since I saw it in theaters. This movie is, and I'll say it, and I'll probably say it a lot more times in the future. It's fantastic. It
was either going to be it's fantastic or it's my favorite. And use the two Fs of your world.
It is one of my favorite love stories.
Is it?
Yes.
I thought Ghost was.
It is. Let's
rewind.
So, okay,
I would take a clip from every love story we reviewed and just remix it.
No, what I'm going to do is I'll go on Fiverr and I'll just pay someone to remix it for us for like $5.
There we go.
No, I already do it myself. But no, like it's when you say it's one of, that means there are multiple.
One of many.
Yes, exactly. There you go. See?
You can't have. Okay, so. Movies, I feel like, should be borderline like best friends. You can have more than one best friend, but you can't have many, many best friends.
But there's categories of movies, all right? There's categories, okay?
So I'm going to have friends. So I get that. Okay, I can reason with that.
I can have, 5 of my favorite comedies, 5 of my favorite horrors, 5 of my favorite romances. I have
friends I can talk shit with. I have friends that don't do that.
I have Rob and Cam.
Yeah. And Joe and Julie.
Yes,
you guys are watching this.
Yes.
Be offended.
No. But no, yeah, like that's why, like when I say that kind of stuff is like you can put things in categories, and also horror's got categories too. This is one of my favorite slashers. This is one of my favorite giallos.
I will say, out of the 28 reviews we have done, we're about to hit our 30th. Well, I mean, I only did -2.
-2.
I don't think I've ever said one is my favorite.
Yeah. What's Beetlejuice? This is one of my absolute favorites.
I said one.
Oh, okay.
One.
I
don't think
Gremlins,
I said one.
Gremlins too. Gremlins.
I don't think I claimed it was my favorite. I said I do really like this movie.
I'll check out the tape.
It's a very cute movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you said. I definitely know Beetlejuice. I think you opened up with this is one of my absolute favorites.
Oh yeah, I love Beetlejuice.
Yeah, which y'all can't see. There's a Beetlejuice poster like basically right above Becca's. Oh, I'm sorry, kitty cat. I just hit my cat. But there's a Beetlejuice poster literally right above Becca's head. But anyway, but yeah, okay.
I also didn't even know.
Interruption. For audio listeners, my cat has jumped on her lap and is begging attention. It's okay.
Come on, you gonna make it over? Is there room? But yeah, I didn't even know there was a book for this either.
No, I didn't know that either. And usually, typically, what I would do, if we're going to review something, I do rather do the book and then do the review. I didn't know about that until I started looking into it. So I didn't actually. Yes, that is.
Here's our other one.
This is Elvira. But yes, I didn't know that this was a book either until I really got into it. And it was a very successful book too, and that's why it was made into a movie. And that was when they talked to Matthew Quick when he went to do the film. I'm sorry, when Matthew Quick was told that his book was being released, and he gave it, like, hey, we're gonna make this into a movie, and he's like, okay, here, take my baby. And he was actually relieved when he heard David O. Russell was going to do it, because he was like, okay, I know it's in good hands. And I mean, we're not going to get into the whole, if you know, but like, we're not going to get into the whole downward spiral of David O. Russell's history. I
missed out on this one, but moving forward, let me put the cat down. Go on. Moving forward, I will be doing deep dives on the internet, whether it's about the director or actors.
So it's, what
on
are you
Reddit.
calling it? Yes. Becca lives in the comments.
Yes. I love the comment section and threads. I mean, on anything. But yeah, so this probably was a missed opportunity.
Yes.
Sorry,
but also, like, I didn't want to. I want to talk about this movie without bringing too much negative.
I don't know what he did, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to really get into it, but like, let's just say
we about to talk shit later.
No, it's just say he has a history of being an asshole, kind of like Chevy Chase, but no, I mean, in a lot worse sense. But yeah, so that was one thing.
I'll go down that rabbit hole later.
That was like I was thinking, well, is it still okay to like this movie? And I think you can still like someone's art. You can still like someone's art, because it wasn't just them behind it. There's a lot of people going. There's a lot of moving pegs.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so like you can't just disassociate with something just because someone has a negative history. So I was kind of worried about talking about this movie, but I'm like, but no. There's acting, performances, and so forth like that. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this movie, and it shows. And it's a very beautiful film from start to finish. It is just, I mean, it's a fantastic film. I mean, like, it is witty at times. It's got nice dry sense of humor at times, where it's got a beautiful love story at times. It will be probably, like I say, it is in my top 5 favorite romantic movies, and it always probably will be, because ever since I just fell in love with this movie. And this is the movie. People knew about Jennifer Lawrence prior to this movie. She was in Winter's Bone. I mean, she did a little bit of TV, but no one watched the Bill Engvall show. But she was on the Bill Engvall show. She did Winter's Bone, which was a very successful movie. I mean, independent film it's very well done. And then she did X-Men First Class and The Hunger Games. But this is the film, or like everyone was introduced to her. And then because this is the one that was nominated by Oscar. And this is the one she won for Best Actress. And that's when everyone just fell in love with her, like on the red carpet, all those funny scenes and stuff like that. Yeah. This one, people got the idea of like, okay, this girl, she's not a movie star, but she's in this movie. Like, she found her way in, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, and then I'll quote the Dark Knight Rises, but like, No, Dark Knight, but the Dark Knight Returns, where like when you're like in the public eye and people love you so much, that only lasts so long to where it flips and then everyone just starts to hate you for some reason.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially with cancel culture today, people just eat you alive.
Well, and that's the thing is like with her and Chris Pratt, they were on such a high. And then it got to a point where like people were just like, we don't like these people anymore. Or people just got tired of them being so successful. I don't know what it is. I do know she had some stuff like, I mean, not really like she stepped away from Hollywood and came back with the No Hard Feelings, which I love that movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was hilarious. And I really like comedies like that. You know, I think it sucks because there's a scene in A Marriage Story, or I think it's called Marriage Story, where Adam Driver's he's yelling at Scarlett Johansson. He's like, you wanted this life until you didn't. And I was like, what's called? And he's like, you love this life and you wanted it until you didn't. And it's like people loved Jennifer Lawrence until they just didn't want to love her anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that sucks. But like her performance in this one is, you know, it's not groundbreaking, but it's very, I don't know, the character she plays, she just hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because I mean, she won an Oscar for this film, 2012. Next year, David O. Russell does American Hustle, big success. All right. Wins Best Supporting Actress. Gets a second Oscar next year. I mean, it's crazy. So, I mean, she's very, very talented. And Dave O. Russell, he is extremely talented. A great director. I mean, he did Three Kings. He did The Fighter with Mark Wahlberg. Amazing film. I mean, fantastic. Then he did, they did Silver Linings Playbook. His early career, he did I Heart Huckabees, which is just a great comedy, off the beat comedy. It's fantastic. And then, you know, we did American Hustle, and then he went in to do Joy, which brought, you know, Jennifer Lawrence worked with him 3 times.
Yeah.
So obviously, like and Bradley Cooper, I mean, brought Bradley Cooper 3 times too. He's in Joy too as well. I think that was 2016. So obviously, like, you know, like he's got a little bit of magic in him, you know what I mean? And he knows how to get the best out of people. It does suck that, you know, unfortunately, you know, there are some people that don't believe that in him. And I understand they have their story and they have every right to have their story. But I mean, unfortunately, as far as the movie at hand that we're talking about, I don't know, like it's just something, there's a little special piece of my heart that this will always be. What? Yeah, I went on a rant there. But yeah. I mean, and also music by Danny Elfman, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
The music is fun. I will say that.
Yeah, and that's another thing is he's really good at when he does movie. He has a good job at putting together a good soundtrack. Yeah, and that was, I mean, I don't know like about you, but like that used to be a big deal back in the day. You watch a movie that had an awesome soundtrack, you went and bought the soundtrack. I mean, shoot, what was it? The Queen of the Damned soundtrack. If you really like nu metal, I mean, it was a fantastic soundtrack. Yeah. Scorpion King soundtrack. The movie sucked, but that soundtrack was pretty fucking awesome. Yeah. When you're a young kid in high school listening to nu metal. But yeah. I mean, so the music is just so well done.
Oh yeah, I agree. I even said that during the movie that I like the music.
Yeah. You were like, oh, this song is really good and stuff like that. Yeah. It's I love that when you like, you know, you can watch a movie like, you know, Quentin Tarantino's his sound, almost all of his movie soundtracks are perfect. I mean, I still listen to the Reservoir Dogs soundtrack to this day. I mean, but yeah, it's awesome when something like that happens. You know, it's just kind of like a 2-for-1 deal. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so you have a little bit of background on like the book /
so I like
movie comparisons.
I didn't get a chance.
Favorite thing to do.
I really wanted to read the book. I didn't get a chance and have enough time to actually read the book for the review. I will go back on my own time and, you know, and read it.
I won't.
Yeah. No.
So I just downloaded Audible for the first time. I feel like I'm years behind in like the digital book industry.
I love my Libby. I
know you do.
But yeah, so a couple of differences. So in the movie, Pat is bipolar. Mm-hmm. But in the book, he actually he has a brain damage. And he's actually gone for 4 years, while in the book, while in the movie, he's only gone for like 8 months. So that was a big thing that they changed. And then David Russell changed it to bipolar because apparently his son is bipolar. So he felt like he could write more of the script based off of things that he's
experienced firsthand.
Exactly, right? What you know.
Yeah.
You watch this show enough, you write what you know. A lot of these people that make these great films, there's a reason why they're so great because they're writing what they know. That's why it feels so real.
Yeah.
The gambling addict father, played by Robert De Niro.
I love Robert De Niro.
Yeah, he does not have a gambling problem. So he wrote.
That's good to know. Robert De Niro doesn't have a gambling.
No,
problem.
in the book, I mean,
I know what you meant.
Yeah, his dad in the book does not have a gambling problem. He wrote that into the movie because he wanted to have a little kind of like another disorder. Yeah. So him and his son can have a joined like connection, and it's very tastefully done in the movie when we get to it. It's very tastefully, like when they get the connection and they kind of like have that conversation in the car. I love that part. It's very sweet. And then so in the movie, Nikki, it's not revealed that Nikki's messed around with someone else until the very end.
Yeah, another teacher at the school.
Yeah. That's at the very end. But it makes more sense because he's been gone for 4 years and he has brain damage and he has memory loss. So we're not finding out that she's technically moved on until the very end of the book.
Completely different.
The concept is there. Yeah. Yes, it takes the book takes place in New Jersey. So the movie takes place in
Philadelphia.
Pennsylvania area. Yeah. And he's close to Philly because in the book he really liked the Eagles. So David Russell thought it was like, okay, well, let's actually put in PA so we can connect that relationship a little bit better. Yeah. And that also opens up to the whole bookie stuff with his dad and all that, the gambling stuff like that. It flushed out that storyline, made it more plausible. Yeah. In New Jersey it was Collingwood, and then in PA it was Ridley Park. So that's the two different cities. They do go. There is a diner. The diner in the book is the Crystal Lake Diner, while the diner in the movie is the Lenart Diner.
Yeah, and we would have had pictures at this diner. But in our travels to PA, the weather got too crazy because it's not the time of the year to venture around. No. And yeah. Just screw that.
To be continued.
Yes. BRB.
And then that's mainly a lot of the main differences. But the meat, like I said, is there. The love between Tiffany and him, that is true. Pat's Trigger is not a particular song. It's more just jazz music or anything played by like Kenny G. Yeah. In the movie, it's My Sherry Even More. By Stevie Wonder. Yeah. Which is a beautiful song.
It is.
I like how it's very like...
it plays very ambient in the background.
Yes, and I like how they faded in and you listen to the song, the way it opens
That's what I meant by ambient. Yeah. It's very soft in the background.
Yeah, and I like that the beginning of the song, it's like, that was like chiming music, almost sounds like Oriental and stuff like that. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so, so beautiful. But yeah, that is his...
And like, for instance, as the one scene where he's outside the movie theater and starting to freak out, it starts out like very soft in the background and faint, and then it speeds up as his like episode escalates, and then it slows back down and fades back out. It's done very well.
And that's when you find out like it was all in his head. It was. You think it's maybe playing out of the loudspeakers in front of the movie theater, but it's not. But yeah, those are like the main differences. But I mean, Bradley Cooper does a fantastic job. Him playing Pat, it's just awesome. I remember going to the movie theater and we see freaking Chris Tucker come out. I'm like, holy shit, Chris Tucker's in this? Because at this point, we had not seen Chris Tucker in forever. And we still really don't see Chris Tucker. But that little role that he has in this movie, I was just ecstatic because I was just so happy to see him in a movie again. Because I mean, Chris Tucker's just a Fifth Element, Friday. Yeah. He just money talks. I mean, he's great. Oh, fuck, I love Chris Tucker.
Yeah, his part is very funny.
Yes.
He pops up for like maybe a minute each
Danny,
time.
I think it is. Yeah, Danny. Yeah.
And each time it's hilarious.
But yeah, that's most of like everything that I could come up with. Do you want to read?
Yeah.
So this is the first time this is the second time we reviewed something and we don't have VHS because there is no VHS.
Yeah, it's with the times. All right, so the first review on the back from Newsweek, and only review on the back, is the best ensemble cast of the year from Marlo Stern from Newsweek. How do you pronounce his last name? I can never pronounce it. Solitano? Pat Solitano has lost everything: his house, his job, his wife. He finds himself living back with his mother, Jackie Weaver, and father, Robert De Niro, after spending 8 months in a state institution on a plea bargain. While rebuilding his life, Pat is determined to remain positive and reunite with his wife, despite the challenging circumstances of their separation. When Pat meets Tiffany, Academy Award-winning Jennifer Lawrence, a mysterious girl with problems of her own, things get pretty complicated. As the relationship plays out, an unexpected bond forms between them, and silver linings appear in both their lives. And then you get like scene snippets, which is like them at the diner, and then leaving the institution, Robert De Niro and Jackie Weaver on the couch, and then them at the Eagles game with the body paint all over them.
I will say, this movie, there's a couple of scenes in the movie, and I don't know why. There's these scenes in certain movies, and they're not like famous movies. I mean, some of them are like, they're not like famous, like, you think of like Gone with the Wind and, what's called, I Don't Give a Damn, all that kind of stuff, like those famous scenes. But this movie has one of my favorite scenes of all time. Walk the Line has one of my favorite scenes of all time. And I know, like, there's just little scenes that I just really like, and I don't know.
What's your favorite scene?
The conversation he has after the ballroom with Robert De Niro.
Oh, yeah.
Robert De Niro's speech at the end.
Yeah.
There's things I wish I had if I could just open my brain like a folder on my laptop and find that memory and just delete it just so I can witness it again for the first time. I that sounds weird, but that's what I think.
I mean, people wish that a lot.
Oh my God, there's so many times, like, I love that scene. I love that scene so much. And then, like, another movie.
None of those things for me involve movies.
Another movie. People, you will say what you want, but I love Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's
the cartoon.
No, the movie with Andrew Garfield. I love that one. Like, my favorite Spider-Man, like, because I'm a big Spider-Man guy, but my favorites are like Spider-Man 2 is number 1, and Spider-Man for the second place is Amazing Spider-Man. I know a lot of people would disagree with me. But don't be fooled,
Logan is DC through and through.
Yes, I believe DC. But when it comes to the Spider-Man movies,
DC.
I believe
that makes me want to vomit.
What?
That's like football people were like, I bleed purple because Baltimore's the Ravens. It's like, okay, let me see you on that field.
I'm just saying, that is a
vomit was a harsh word. I love Logan, but
well, that's a hot take because a lot of people didn't like that movie. I mean, enough people liked it. They made a sequel, but the sequel is not good. But
I mean, they made sequels of Twilight. Okay,
those movies.
I don't know what had the grip on the teenage female population for those years.
I think it's the books, and I think the way
it was the first, like,
how she wrote in the books, and they wanted to see it visually in person.
Yes, and it was the first, like, not first teen romance novel, but it was like a very big romance novel that was still age appropriate while still being like a little like frisque and stuff. Teenage girls loved it.
But yeah, this scene in the movie, like, I love that, and the scene that Peter talks to Uncle Ben before he slams the door in Amazing Spider-Man. That's like one of my favorite scenes of all time.
Oh yeah,
the speech, with great power comes great responsibility, but the flip on it, obviously it's much different than the first Spider-Man movie, but I really it's instead of you don't have a choice, it's an obligation. Yeah. And then the way Andrew, I know we're talking about completely different movie right now, but the way that Andrew Garfield he sat there and he like gets upset. He's like your dad wants that. He goes, hey, that's cool. Where is he? Where is he?
Skip for 30 seconds. That's how much longer I'm going to let this go on.
He's like, where is he? Do you think it'd be better for him to tell me that himself? Oh my God. That brings chills on my arm. And then this, okay. You know what? We'll do Amazing
15
Spider-Man.
seconds.
We'll do Amazing Spider-Man eventually. But we'll come back to this. And
yeah,
I'll
back to the movie
I'll put a clip of this in the Amazing Spider-Man review. Okay.
But yeah, so to kick off the movie, it is Pat's discharge from the mental hospital in Baltimore, which was not a real mental hospital. I Googled it. I tried.
Yeah. I put it down there to look it up because I mean we have a famous one not too far from where we live, which is the main mental hospital in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And it's not that one. So
yeah. Oh, excuse me. All right. So now set the timer for like, I don't know, 30 minutes, and then we're done, so I can take a nap. But yeah, so he is getting discharged, and it's clear that he's only there for a court order, and he makes it seem like he's doing like really good. Like he has it together. He's ready to go home. Yeah. He's gonna do good. He's gonna get Nikki back. Like he's ready to go.
And his mom's taking him out, even though the doctors say, I think he should stay here longer. Like, no, he has spent his time. He's coming back home and be with his family.
Yeah, he did his court order time. He can do the rest at home.
Yeah.
Is her point. So as they're leaving, there is another, I don't want to say patient. There's another patient, acting like they're gonna go home, which is
Danny.
Yeah, Danny, Chris Tucker. And Pat like pleads with his mom, like, can you please help Danny get home or get him to, get him close to home, essentially.
Yeah, he's gonna meet up a person so far.
And she's hesitant to it, and she's like, okay. He can get in the car. And she realizes in conversation that, well, she gets a call, right?
Yeah, the hospital calls her cell phone. Like, by the way, Danny's not allowed to leave yet.
Yeah.
It's like, Pat, you lied to me.
Yeah, and they almost like wreck the car because they're trying to pull over.
the steering wheel.
Yeah, and she starts like tearing up, and she's like, Pat, you lied to me. And Danny's like, no, he didn't lie to you. And he like makes up some reason of like why he should really still be getting out, even though it's like he has these fake lawyer reasons, like he is a lawyer. And you never really find out if he was previously a lawyer.
Yeah, he's like, listen, he goes, I got locked. He's like, he's like, Danny got locked up because he was drinking and he was doing pills or was it drinking or doing pills with crystal meth? He's like, bad combination.
Yeah.
Anytime you add meth, that's a bad combination.
Anytime you mix any drugs,
meth alone.
Yeah. But so Danny doesn't get to get home. Danny goes back. But Pat makes it home. And pretty much on the time he gets home, it is his initiative to get back with Nikki. That's his focus. He wants to stay in shape, so he's going to go on runs. He's going to do everything he's lost weight. To do. Yes.
He's lost weight.
Which was one of the things that she didn't like about him. So he already has lost weight, but he wants to keep the weight off, and he wants to essentially, like, without making direct contact with Nikki, wants to prove to Nikki that he is better than before.
Yeah, he's been reading her syllabus because she's a teacher.
And he's going to read every book off the syllabus.
Yeah, and then he's basically all the things that she said that she wanted him to be, he's taken note of, and that's basically created a list to do each one of those things as soon as he got out, basically. And that's when he's basically just throughout the movie in this part, he's just like reading off the list of, I need to do this, I need to do that. You know what I mean? Nikki didn't like it when I did this.
He almost becomes like obsessive compulsive.
Oh, yeah, extremely.
And his first night there, unfortunately, he does have a freak out in the middle of the night.
Yeah, he gets mad when he's reading an Ernest Hemingway book, and he hates the way it ends, and just freaks out at like 3 a.m. with his parents.
And he just like starts waking his parent. He has another episode later on, but he just like drives his parents nuts essentially in the middle of the night on more than one occasion. And for this one, the cops don't come, right?
No, I don't believe this is it. But yeah, it's the next, or was it maybe it was earlier where they came. He goes, I just want to introduce myself. I've been told to check in on this house.
On this case, yeah. So you also.
Sorry, I had to snap at my cat. She was going to jump on the computer.
Then he has his first doctor's appointment. So part of his court order is he's still supposed to seek help outside of the inpatient care. And his doctor is very, like, dry, like, in my opinion.
But I like him.
Oh, yeah, he's funny and it's comical. And he pretty much when he gets to the doctor's appointment, he hears his trigger song, which is the Stevie Wonder song.
Yes, My Sherry Moore. And it was all done on purpose. And he's asking the receptionist, he's like, can you turn this off? Is this really playing right now? And she's like, I don't have control of this. Like, you need to turn this off. Where's the speakers at? And he starts ripping shit across the room and stuff like that. And then that's when he goes back and he's like, that's really messed up, Doc, what you did. And he's like, I just want to see if it's still your trigger.
You need to learn how to cope.
Yeah, basically. And that's kind of like, he's like, okay, we need to find a way for...
Well, he says you need to. He's not really a we kind of guy. He's like, you need to figure out a way to cope. You can't behave like this every time you hear the song. And this is also where you hear... Because he starts to get upset with the doctor and upset about the song playing and... upset because he's trying to do better. He's trying to explain this to his therapist. Is what we mean by his doctor. And that's when you hear what got him to Baltimore, which he caught his wife having an affair with the teacher that they work with. They both were teachers at the school.
That scene.
And beat him, very badly.
Yeah, so he basically finds her having sex with him in the shower.
Okay, just put all the details. I mean, people have watched.
Well, I'm just saying, and he just, in a nutshell, he beats him almost to death.
Yeah.
And that's what got him sent there. But we hear that, and he's talking to his therapist or whatever. He goes, okay, but what happened the week prior to that? And well, I called the cops in on he called the cops on his wife and the history teacher, saying they were embezzling money against the school, plotting to get him fired or something like that. And they're like, was that true? He's like, no, it was a delusion due to me being undiagnosed bipolar. He's like, yeah, so there's more to this than you're letting out to be.
So then you switch, and again, he's on a mission. He's going to keep losing weight. He's going to prove to Nikki without direct contact that he is doing better. So when he does eventually have direct contact with her, he can talk about how well he's doing. So he goes for a run, and he runs by the school first. He runs by the school,
and he runs by Nikki's old house. We don't know that. We just hear that later. Because we don't know what it looks like. But
and then he goes to the school, and this poor receptionist lady, I'm assuming she is. She probably works for the office or something. I don't know. She sees him running.
I think her name was Nancy or something like that.
And she tries to run into the building as fast as possible. She's juggling all this stuff, and he runs up and insists on letting him help her.
Yeah,
and she's like, no, Pat, that's great. You look like you're doing great, but no, Pat, you can't be here anymore.
She is scared to death of her.
Yeah, understandably. And I mean, not understandably. Well,
he's got a restraining order.
He's got a restraining order, but it's not like he beat the shit out of someone for no damn reason.
Yeah.
I'd be scared of that. If you're not the man his wife is having an affair with, then you shouldn't be concerned of him. But so she's like, okay, Pat, that's great. And he's like, I'd love to come back. I'm reading Nikki's syllabus. And she's like, okay, Pat, you need to go now. And she pretty much shakes Pat off. So Pat goes on his run, and he runs into his best friend, Ronnie, by his house. And Ronnie's outside. So he talks to Ronnie for a little bit. And
the conversations that him and Ronnie have is, once again, it's that little slips of kind of dry, just funny.
Well, Ronnie's trying to talk to him he's genuinely happy to see him and talk to him about what's going on. And Pat's just have you seen Nikki? Are you guys still talking to Nikki? And Pat's trying to invite him over for dinner, or not Pat. Ronnie's trying to invite Pat over for dinner, and he's like, well, I don't think your wife really, wants me here for dinner. And then his wife pops out the window and is like, did you ask him?
Yeah.
And still, Pat's still fixated on Nikki.
Because it's that funny. She's like, did you ask him or ask him? Yeah. What'd he say? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he doesn't turn his head to look at her. He just yells at it, but he's looking at me and goes, can you come?
Yeah. It's like a kid almost when they ask their parent.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Pat makes it by the house, and this is when the officer comes by.
Yeah, because this is when we find out about the restraining order. It's like, hey, I've been told
that you got close to the school in her house.
Yeah, and then you ran by your old house, which you have a restraining order against, and so forth like that.
And he's like, look, man, 50 feet. Just stay 50 feet away.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, because that's the thing. At this point in time, we don't know he's not allowed to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, you think he's just going on a run trying to do better or whatever. It's just run around his neighborhood. So he has a debate with his mom of what he should wear to the dinner at his friend's house, whether he should wear like fancy clothes or his Eagles jersey.
Oh no, he talks to the doctor about that.
Oh yeah.
Because he goes, I got this really sick Lamar Jackson jersey. Was it Lamar Jackson?
I don't know.
No, Lamar Jackson's
the Ravens.
Ravens. Shit, I forgot. Well, anyway, he goes, I have this really sick jersey. Whatever. He's like, but
he's like, so and so's the shit.
Yeah,
therapist, yeah. So he decides to wear that. But then he shows up to the dinner dressed in a jersey, and Ronnie and his wife are like, you're wearing a jersey?
No, Ronnie's cool with it.
But
his wife's not.
But they're dressed up to have dinner at their own house.
Yeah, I don't get that. No. If you're coming over my house for dinner, I don't care if you wear sweats or normal clothes.
Yeah, like just wear whatever you want. Nor am I going to dress fancy unless it's like Christmas or Thanksgiving, but for just a normal dinner, I'm not going to dress super fancy. I mean, they were in dresses and like.
Yeah, he had a tie. I think he had a tie on and everything like that. And she's like, oh yeah, you wore a jersey to dinner. So nice. And he's like, okay. Back the brakes.
Yeah,
here.
Why are you so dressed up? You're just sitting inside your house.
Yeah.
I get if you're going to a fancy restaurant, but then you finally meet Jennifer Lawrence and her association to this whole entire thing, which is it's Ronnie's wife's sister.
Yeah.
And she coincidentally has also gone through some rough patches recently.
And it's really cool how they introduce her because they did. I don't know if I misread this, but I asked you, and you were like, "No, that's what I got too." And it's like kind of like she's like kind of like kind of like an alt girl. I would say like a grown up, like I would say like
alternative
goth or whatever, something like that. Because he makes it very evident that she's wearing all black. She's got black fingernails.
Yeah,
and at that time, it's 2012. I mean, typically, if you had black fingernails, kind of were in that alt scene and stuff like that. She has the black cross on her neck and stuff. So, I mean, that was really cool. And then, I mean, because it's just like.
She also has a very dry sense of humor, which I love.
Yes. It's fantastic.
I love dry humor.
It's fantastic. She's definitely a dry sense of humor with a big quarter of smart ass.
Yeah. So do you want to take us through the dinner party and then their departure?
So they go to the dinner, and Pat, I don't know if it's his bipolar disorder, but you think you're not intrusive thought, but thoughts that come through your head that need to go through a filter. Well, that doesn't apply to Pat. Anything he thinks, he says it.
Yeah.
And when he hears that, it's like Tiffany somebody, he's like, oh, Tiffany, who's Tiffany? Oh, Tiffany and Tommy. Oh, Tiffany and Tommy. He's like, but Tommy died. He's like, oh, really? How'd he die? He's like, how? And then that's when she walks in. He's like, who died? And he's like, oh, hey, Tiffany. He's like, hey, what's going on? And I'm Pat. He's like, how are you doing? He's like, how Tommy died. Like immediately say, like, obviously that's not something you would say.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He's like, so, what do you do for work? Some of that sort. She's like, well, actually, I just lost my job. Oh, shoot, that sucks. I mean, how'd that happen? It's like, obviously, clear things someone doesn't want to talk about, but he has no,
understanding of that, social skills.
So they end up sitting down to dinner, and they start to low-key, falling in sync because obviously she's on pain. I mean, not pain.
Yeah, so they start comparing their
medications,
antidepressants, or their
prescriptions.
Yeah, their prescriptions, and comparing how they make them feel, and making banter back and forth about it. Something that Ronnie and his wife, I can't remember her name in the thing. Can't relate to at all.
No, and you can tell his wife, which is Tiffany's sister, seems very very uncomfortable with the whole situation. And it's so funny because they get to the point where Tiffany's just had it. She's like, I want to go home. Are you gonna walk me home? And Bradley Cooper's just sitting there. He's just looking. I was like, you mean me? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up walking her home, and then she offers to sleep with him, and he's like, no. What? And he's completely confused about what she's happening.
He goes, well, I'm married. He's like, I am too. She's like, no, that doesn't count. Your husband's dead.
Yeah. So he says stuff like that, and she's like, okay, and your wife cheated on you, and she just gives the jabs back to him. And so they end up not sleeping together, obviously.
Yeah.
And Pat goes home and tries to go to sleep, but then has become determined to find his wedding video.
So, yes, he has this meltdown, and it's cool because we'll just talk about it now because we don't have to really talk about it later, but we find out when we get towards the end of the movie, the reason why he's having the meltdown is because he's having these feelings for her and he's trying to fight them. He doesn't want to have those feelings for her because he's like...
He wants to remind himself of what he had. So he wants to see the wedding video and things.
Exactly.
But he can't find it and he's tearing through the house and he wakes his parents up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And his mom's trying to like frantically calm him down and help him. He accidentally elbows her in the face.
Yeah, the neighbors can hear you. I don't care if the neighbors can hear me. They can hear me. I don't care.
Yeah. And accidentally elbows her in the face, which then pisses his dad off, and him and his dad start getting an altercation, which then the neighbors call the police, and then his assigned officer comes, and then there's a kid at the front doorstep with his video camera
Yeah, he
out.
showed up earlier because he's writing a paper on bipolar disorder, so he shows up again, and then we get this funny thing where Robert Niro chases him off and runs to his house, and he's like...
In front of his mom, threatens to shove the phone up his ass.
He's going to shove that phone up, I'm going to show that camera up your ass, and then I'm going to interview how it feels to have a camera shoved up your ass.
Yeah. And then he says sorry to the boy's mom or whatever. So then you kind of get to see like, okay, well, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Like, clearly his dad can be a little crazy too. And so they sit down, they calm down, they send the assigned police officer on his way.
And they just basically say the reason for the outburst was it was imbalance of his medication. That's what the mom comes up with, and he's like, sorry, won't happen again, and stuff like that because he doesn't want to take his pills. He's not going to take his pills. Yeah, and I believe this is the scene when the next day, I believe it's where they're all standing around. Yeah, because Robert Niro has a little, like bruise on his face, and he's like, he takes the pills and he takes them. They watch him take them before he goes for his run.
So then he goes on a run, and who else to show up but Tiffany running behind him.
That scene.
And he starts just like straight up trying to run from her.
Well, when she shows up, she's running, and all she rolls, hey!
Yeah. Cracks Logan up. So they start fighting and taking jabs at each other because Pat just wants to be left alone. He doesn't want to be seen with her because he's trying to get back with Nikki, and he can't be seen with another girl if he wants to get back with Nikki. And Tiffany's point's like, your wife doesn't want to get back with you. Like, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah. He's like,
and
stop.
You can't talk to somebody.
Yeah, and he's like, stop running. Stop. She goes, this is my neighborhood. And he's like, but this is my route. He's like, I don't care. Stop following me. He's like, I can run where I want. Yeah.
And so they get back and forth. And then he spits.
Just
not
spit.
At her, just spits like to the side of him, whatever, and she just spits at him like
it's like a child.
Yeah,
it's like arguing.
Oh yeah, it's two like delusional people trying to take jabs at each other, but they're both just equally delusional. And so they go on their way or whatever. They fight. She runs back. He continues on his run and goes home. Again, he's going to run every day. So he goes on a run again. And Tiffany shows up again and is trying to plea bargain with him being friends.
Yeah,
because they both have been through some hard stuff. So like, let's be friends. Let's try to be friends.
Yeah.
And Pat at least like agrees to dinner.
He's like, yeah, because they get to the dinner.
Friends.
They get to the end of the street, which is where the Lanark diner is. And he's like, you want to have dinner with me at this diner? Because previously there was a conversation where his therapist was talking to him. Was like, hey, this might be a good idea for you to have another friend.
Yeah.
And maybe that can help show you that, if you help a friend and be friendly, that might show growth to Nikki. And he's like, okay, that's a good idea. And so he thinks about that to this point. He was like, hey, you want to get dinner with me at this diner? And she just does the thing. She's like, pick me up at 7:30.
Yeah.
And she just takes off running.
It is truly like two kids. So then they go to the diner and they're talking. Tiffany just orders tea and then takes jabs at Pat because he orders Raisin Bran.
Yeah, she's like, why'd you order Raisin Bran?
He's like, it's not a date if I order Raisin Bran. And she's like, I didn't know the food quantified the date or like made it a date or not.
Yeah, she's like, and he goes,
she's like, it does.
He's like, why'd you? No, he says it does. He goes,
yeah, that's.
And she goes, he goes, why'd you order tea? He's like, because you ordered Raisin Bran. Who the hell orders Raisin Bran on a date?
Yeah. And ultimately, they end up getting in a fight, and Pat truly offends Nikki after truly offends Tiffany. Just
because we get a little information dump from Tiffany.
Yes, she ended up sleeping with people because after her marriage, that's just something she did to cope. Was sleeping with a lot of people at her job, and that's how she lost her job. And Pat starts asking some pretty sensual questions about it. But then the conversation kind of takes a turn, and Pat essentially, calls Tiffany crazy, and takes a jab at the things that she just opened up to him about that were probably hard to open up about. Yeah,
he basically is judging her right in front of her face, and she is just taking it as like we were just being opening.
Yeah, we were opening up about what we've been through, and she gets very, very upset and has a meltdown in front of the restaurant and leaves the restaurant and takes off. So Pat, after longer than he probably should have waited, he tries to leave, and the lady's like, hey, Raisin Bran, and makes him pay. And then he leaves and runs into her in front of like a downtown movie theater and has another meltdown because he tries to talk to her, and she makes a big scene, is like, get off me, out, like, don't touch me, blah, blah, blah. And that's when you start to hear the song fade in.
And
he starts to panic, and all the people are looking because they think, he's doing something wrong.
They think he's being somewhat abusive to her, and they're all on her side and being like...
And he's starting to feel attacked, and they're starting to intrude on his space, and the song gets louder and louder, and you can see him. He's trying to back away and get away from it. And, of course, his assigned officer pulls up.
Yeah, he shows up. He's like, you want to go back to Baltimore? You want to go back to Baltimore?
Tiffany takes the heat for it.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, are you fucking crazy? She's like, I am crazy. And then, unfortunately, the cop realizes that it's Tommy's wife.
He's like, oh, you Tommy's widow, aren't you? Hey, what are you doing later?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, my God.
Oh, my God, man. Are you serious?
And then...
Because Tommy was a police officer.
Yeah, so Pat sticks up for her and is like, she doesn't do that anymore. And so his assigned police officer leaves. I forget his name. Leaves, and ultimately, I keep when I say Nikki, even though it's Tiffany. Tiffany talks him down and teaches him how to like breathe through his episode, like breathe through hearing the song, and tries to remind him like, it's not real. It's not real. Breathe. It's not real. And he eventually, comes through it. This is before, the cop tries to fucking hit on her.
Yeah.
And so now they go on their walk home.
Yeah.
Everybody's calmed down some. She apologizes for what she did. I believe he apologizes too. Yeah, and they make their way home. And
then also, like, prior to that, like, I think part of the conversation they were having is the whole Pat's been trying to get a letter to Nikki because he can't talk to her, but he wants to let her know what he's doing because obviously she is not aware of it. And that was kind of like their mutual agreement. Like, I can give her the letter.
Yes.
And that's what brought him like, oh, you can. And that's when the conversation started really get heated because they started sharing and so forth.
Yeah.
And so at this conclusion, after they kind of everything calms down, because
he thinks Tiffany's going to get Nikki the letter through her sister. Because her sister and Ronnie are friends with Tiffany, and that means Tiffany secondhandedly sees Nikki.
Yeah, well, also she sees her too because she is around her sister a lot.
Yeah.
And so
that's what I was saying essentially.
Oh, I thought you were saying Tiffany's sister was going to give it to her. I was like,
no,
I don't think she would.
I said that's why she sees Nikki.
Yeah, my bad. But yeah, so they get to the agreement. She's like, okay, that's fine. I'm still going to give her the letter. And he's like, oh, well, thank you. And stuff like that. And so they part their separate ways. And so then the next day when Pat goes for his run again, he heads over to Tiffany's to give her the letter. And it's funny because we see the parents like looking through the the window looking at him and stuff like that. Because obviously she kind of like, not really, I don't like, she's not.
I feel like she cry wolfs to her parents.
It's the sex addict part. Like, she's not a sex addict, but that's what she does to cope with it. And so obviously a lot of men have been in and out of that, of her apartment in the back.
But I meant this part where she's like hiding in the house. I feel like sometimes she changes her mind about what she was going to do or what she was about to do. I think
because Pat showed up, that's why. Yeah,
and then gets her parents to cover for her.
Yeah, so
essentially.
Well, yeah, so he shows up and he's like, hey, I was looking for Tiffany. She wasn't out back. I was trying trying to drop this off. And that's when this guy shows up. He's like, hey, I'm looking for Tiffany. What's called, we're dating, or, I mean, we were dating, and, it's someone I see her a little bit. And he's like, I was wondering if she's home. And that's when Pat's like, dude, what are you doing? You're better
and he's
than
like,
this.
she just texted me.
Yeah. And that's when she's like, she just texted me. And that's when you find out.
And that's when you see she's behind the door.
Yeah, she's hiding behind the door. And so that's a cool little, cute little scene. And that's kind of like, I guess, the notion where, like, she's going to put that behind her.
Yeah. I'll let you keep going because I've gone through a lot of these scenes. I've been on a roll.
But yeah, so
there is a deal, though. So if Tiffany's going to give out the letter, they come to a deal. Yeah.
So if basically she goes, I'm going to do this, but what do I get in return?
Yes.
And then that's when he runs off, and she chases him. So that's why he leaves. He runs off. She chases him back down. She's like, hey, what's called what do I get in return? He's like, I already did you a favor. I saw that guy. You call him when you're lonely. That creep. I did you a favor already. And she's like, no. There's this dance competition, and I really need a partner because I really want to do it. And he's like, I will give her the letter if you do the dance competition with me. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And he goes, just think about it. All right. Just think about it. Those are my my options for you. Whatever. Yeah. So he runs off back, and she runs off. And then, what's called, Pat makes it back to his house. And who's at his house? Freaking Danny's at his house. Once again, shows up, and his dad has got him basically setting down, because his dad's like OCD, all about his gambling scenarios are
his dad's more of an under control version of Pat.
Yeah. So he's got like OCD and like all these kind of like juju, like scenarios of how he can try to have the Eagles win and so forth. So, Danny's sitting there holding a handkerchief in one hand, the remote in the other hand. And they're like, the juju's working. What's called this jailhouse lawyer over here.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden walks down the stairs is Pat's brother.
Yeah.
And, and it's kind of funny because
this part is like...
Well, this part's funny, but every time Pat runs into someone, it sucks because he was gone for 8 months. Everyone says the same thing. I would have saw you, but I can't do hospitals. I would have saw you, but work was pretty crazy.
But then his brother just throws in all the things that he's achieving.
And he's like, he's just... I
don't know what to say to you, man. I bought a house. You lost a house. I bought a house.
Yeah, you're getting a divorce.
I'm
making partner at the firm.
Yeah, I have a beautiful wife, or I'm getting married, or something.
Well, he says you got a divorce. I make partner at the firm, and he's like, I don't know what to say. He's like, I have all these things happening to me. I want to be able to tell you these things. And then Rob De Niro was like, well, how about you not doing it in that order?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
How about you just stop talking about it?
Yeah,
and Pat shows the better version of himself.
Yes, a little bit of growth here. Yeah.
Yeah, tells him that he's happy for him.
And I got nothing but love for him. Yeah, I got nothing but love for you.
Yeah, and gives him a hug. And then, of course, his mom's all like teary-eyed, happy about that.
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro's like, okay, great, let's watch the game.
Yeah. And then Ronnie, because then Ronnie's there, and Ronnie goes like, hey, man, what's called
oh gosh, the things Ronnie says about his anger and stuff.
Yeah, he shows me. He's
gives him an iPad. Or
he goes, here, I gave you my old iPod, because there's another funny back where like funny section earlier was like, hey, do you have a phone when he's at Ronnie's house? He's like, no, I don't. They don't want to let me have a phone. They think I would call Nikki. He's like, oh, okay, that's good. He's like, I would call Nikki.
Yeah.
So he gives him an iPod so he can listen. He's like, he goes, yeah, man.
Put some Metallica on there.
Yeah, he's got to put some Metallica, Megadeth. He goes, lately when stress is really getting me bad, and I go out in the garage. I go out in the garage, and it's just,
yeah.
he doesn't even say anything. He's just like,
yeah, and Pat's like,
he's like, that's not healthy, man. That's not healthy.
No, that's perfectly healthy. Absolutely. You were never as like a kid and got really flustered.
No, he says that to him.
Yeah.
He goes, that's not healthy, man. That's not healthy.
No, I'm saying it is healthy, in my opinion.
He's like, you can't be happy all the time. Who says that? Who says you can't be happy all the time?
Yeah, you're delusional if you're happy all the time. But that's perfectly normal. You ever just scream?
No, I don't usually scream, usually. Yeah. That's not my thing.
No.
No, I have pretend arguments in my head where I win.
Oh, I have full conversations in the shower.
Let's just say when me and Becca argue, I'm batting probably like a 50.
I'm batting 100 all the time. I'm on my
Or
toes.
more than 100.
Yeah.
You're very I win probably about 10%.
Yeah.
You got receipts.
It's all those shower conversations I have with myself.
You show up with receipts.
Whatever argument
PowerPoint.
Whatever argument I had with someone, I had it as a figment of my imagination in the shower 2 months prior, and I've been locked and loaded and ready.
My arguments are after that when I'm angrily cleaning and stuff like that. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I should say this, I should say that.
Oh, those are the worst. Or like when you're driving after you've argued with someone or after you hung. Nothing is worse than like you used to get the pleasure of like a flip phone. You could really like angrily hang up on someone with a flip phone. Like they could hear it. And now you just like press a button. Just hang up on them while they're talking. That's what I do.
Oh.
But it used to be so satisfying when someone really make you mad. Saying they're like slamming a house phone down.
To be honest, I don't really get into that much heated conversations with people, to be honest.
No, but people make me mad. It doesn't need to be a heated conversation.
No, I get mad. My things I get mad about are like, the things I get mad about are just
I won't
dumb.
yell.
Yeah.
No, yelling's too loud.
You do yell. What are you talking about?
Not really like yell.
Yeah.
We don't do the screaming match. That's too loud. I don't like that.
No, the only times I really, to be honest, like I'm usually a happy, fun guy. It's just not till I'm driving. That's the only time I really get mad is behind the wheel of the car.
And other drivers.
Yeah, that's the only time actually I get really mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just, and I'm not even a good driver, you guys.
He's not. I'm glad you finally said that.
I mean, I'm not bad, but I'm not a good one.
I want to cut that and keep that. I'm a good driver.
But yeah, I mean,
people do make me mad.
Yeah. Well, I drive all the time, so I don't get to experience your driving that much.
Yeah, you do still.
Mm.
I'm a decent driver.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you are.
But I do stupid things like tailgate people if they make me mad.
Oh, no, I don't do that at all.
Or I'll go like 5 in a 40 if you're going to ride my ass. We all can take forever to get where we're going.
Freaking.
Which I really should never do, especially in today's world. Someone could shoot me.
Oh, yeah. 100, especially where we live. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, my dad always told me, like, never flick people off. It's not worth it because there's going to be that crazy person that, like, follows you home after you flick them off and, like, kills you. Yeah. So I don't flick people off. That's one thing I don't do. But will I make everyone drive 5 in a 40? Abso-fucking-lutely. Well, if you're going to ride my ass.
Were we going to New Jersey? We going to New Jersey and it was raining real bad and I was trying to get over and there was a car right behind me.
Oh, yeah.
And then so they got behind me and I guess I wasn't driving fast enough. So they turned on their brights, but I couldn't get over because there was a car in the next lane. So I was like, all right, well, I'll wait till I can. And I'm not going to speed up because it's fucking raining.
We're already speeding too. So.
Yeah, but I'm not going to gas it because my truck would fishtail. Well, I don't have like any weight in the back.
I dare someone. No, when people start flashing the lights and stuff, if I'm already speeding, you're riding my ass, flashing your lights. So help me God, I will turn this place into a parking lot. I don't care. Because what are you doing?
Well, I went to
Chill out.
Well, I went to get over, and then they just wanted to follow me with their blast light. I was like, all right.
Now you're just being ridiculous. Yeah, and then they went off and did it to someone else. No, because it's like, fuck you. Now we can all just take forever to get where we're going. I don't care. I'll just explain why I was late, which is not my fault. Someone was being ridiculous.
All right.
But anyways, back to
the movie. Back to the movie. So, yeah. So, okay. So.
That's when we need Megadeth. Just turn it up in the car and just let them tailgate you and just scream in your car.
So, yeah. So, we're fast forward to the first day of practice after,
he reluctantly agrees.
He does agree to it. So he shows up and Tiffany explains to him like, hey, this is something I really want to do. And he's like, can we do anything else? No, this is it. We're doing this. This is what we're doing. And
he gives her the letter. She puts it on the stairs.
Yeah, she goes, and then they're trying to relate. He's like, hey, did I ever tell you how Tommy died? And she goes through the story about how their intimacy was lacking and Tommy didn't understand what was going on. So he tried to spice things up, went to Victoria's Secret to...
And she didn't really know what was going on either. She's like, I don't know if I was depressed or what had happened. And
so he goes to Victoria's Secret, gets some sexy lingerie, and then he goes to help someone
with a flat
tire and then gets hit by a car and dies.
Yeah, with the Victoria's Secret box in the passenger seat.
Yeah, so that was a big part. That was a big heavy for her. So, obviously... They were able, I guess.
It leveled the playing field.
Leveled the playing field, like, listen here. okay, maybe I will do this for you. You know, obviously, I need to help you out in some sort of way.
Yes.
And so he agrees, and we get the beautiful, like I said, this movie has songs put all in the right places. And with the girl from North Country, it's the Bob Dylan's song with Johnny Cash. And Bob Dylan and Johnny Cash, when them together make some of the best.
When them's together.
When they be together, the music they make is pretty.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a very good song. And so they finished up practice. It gave him something to do. And he was practicing, doing everything he could. He gets back to the house and he is talking to his mom. And his mom's pleading with him to spend more time with his dad. The game's going to come on and she's making,
I'm making Krabby Snacks and homemades.
Yeah.
Which I was trying to Google what homemades are because I was like, is that a thing? And I don't know if Krabby Snack homemades, I don't know if that's all one thing. Only thing I could come up when I typed it in to Google was homemade pasta.
Yeah.
That's all. Maybe. I have no, if you know what Krabby Snacks and homemades are, please tell me.
I think, and I genuinely think she maybe just meant like finger foods.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and he's kind of like, okay, he just kind of agrees to it to make his mom happy. But he also lets him know he does have prior obligations. He has to do this dance thing. Because, you know, he has to do it. He promised her he'd do it. So he's got to be a man of his word so he can prove to Nikki that he can do that.
And also, you have to understand, Robert De Niro's old school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's from the generation that doesn't talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
So he's not going to come to him and be like, hey, I want you to spend time with me. He's been low-key saying it. Like, hey, you're supposed to watch the game with me. Watch the game with me. But, like, he's not going to be like, listen here, I want to spend time with you, son.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to do that because he's old school. And it makes, I mean, that's
normal for the time.
Yes, exactly.
That's normal for, you know, our parents and stuff to be like that. So he's back at practice again, essentially. And who else but Chris Tucker, Danny, to show up at practice. He just always Pat's mom told Danny where they were at. But he always finds his way out of the institution and back there.
This was the first real time, apparently. This is like he was actually out for real because some kind of, I don't know if it was the hygiene law or something. I don't know.
Whatever. He tells it. Each time it's a different story, but whatever. He's like, did you know that if, you know, one attorney isn't there and the other attorney, then it's a bluff. Yeah, I get to get out. Anyways, so Danny shows up and essentially is, you know, drops in on the practice.
He's airing out his like private conversations that he's been writing to Danny about Tiffany. He's like, "Oh, this is the girl you've been writing about."
And then proceeds to dance with Tiffany to try to show Danny how they should be dancing because they kind of put on like a little mock show for Danny. And Danny's like, wait a second. This part's hilarious. We'll put some clips in here.
Danny, that's the whole funny thing where it's like Danny's like, "All right, Pat, block it up." He's like, "I don't know what that means." He goes, "You know damn well what that means. Block it up."
Yeah. Just little things like that from Chris Tucker are just hilarious.
Also, I do feel like, I don't know if this was just me, but like he gets her to, he's like, I got an idea. How about we do this? And he gets her to jump around.
Yeah, and it's just her tits bouncing
I was
around.
like, no, I was asking, I was like, is that, I perceive it like he just wants to see her tits bounce.
But that is a part of the dance, though. Like when they actually do the dance,
they incorporated it, but I feel like
I do think it was maybe a little accentuated or whatever. But
because Pat starts to get jealous of them dancing together. He's like, all right, you need to leave. You leave.
And he's like, yeah, I got a girl I got to go see across town. So then practice is over. They, you know, the dance is getting closer, and Pat's dad ends up having a breakdown in front of him for not spending time with him because each time he's asked him so far, he's got to go on a run. He's got to do dance practice. He's at the doctor's. He's always busy, too busy for his dad.
This is the moment where he opens up and he's like, listen, I didn't know what to do when you were little. Like, obviously Pat has always had some sort of problem. And he's like, I always spent time with your brother. I didn't mean to. It wasn't against you. I just didn't know how to handle you. Yeah. And your mom was always better at it. Yeah. And that's the reason why
That's usually common when you have a child that, you know, has some type of disorder or disability or something of that nature. Usually one parent copes a little bit better and handles it, quote unquote, a little bit better than the other parent.
Yeah, and he's like, I kind of want to make up for that. I want to spend time with you. And he's like, okay, Dad, all right, that's fine. And he's like, all right. And then he comes downstairs. He's like, all right. He goes, what I want you to do is I need you to go to the Eagles game. You know,
because I got kicked out.
He goes, I can't because I got kicked out
Banned.
for fighting too many people. So he's permanently banned from the Eagles stadium. He's like, I need you to go there when they play the Giants. I need your good luck charm. I need you to be there so we beat the Giants. He goes, I got a lot of money running on this, and he bets all of his betting money.
Yeah.
Because he's been trying to make enough money to open up a cheesesteak place to write off on the book so he can clean the money. So wash the money because it's all from gambling.
Yeah.
The IRS doesn't run him out of town or put him away for 30 years. Well, I don't know how many years, but anyway, you get the point. He's like, okay, that's fine, I'll do. But he goes, but I got to spend half the day with you and half the day with Tiffany because I've already made an agreement with her.
Yeah.
And so they go back and forth to talk about it, and basically we move forward to Pat and his brother actually end up going to the game because he talks to Tiffany about it. She's like, you're not going to do that. He's like, but I got to spend some time with my dad. So
yeah.
She doesn't agree, but he doesn't anyway because he thinks he's going to be back in enough time. So they end up going to the game, and we get this this is the nice scene that we got with Robert De Niro talking to his dad and saying how he goes, it really does suck, Dad, that you can't go to the game from beating up all those people. He goes, I guess we're not too far different, are we? He's like, well, is that a bad thing? He's like, no, I think it's a good thing. He's like, yeah. He was like, there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with us being similar. And that's kind of it's very small, but it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah. And the Eagles game goes great until it goes very, very south.
Yeah.
So he runs into his therapist there. His therapist is, pre-gaming and everything at the tailgate. But then Pat witnesses his brother starting to get into a fight with another fan. And then it escalates to an all-out brawl.
Yeah, because Pat's sticking out of it. He's not getting into it.
He's trying to sink into the background.
Yeah.
Until it just goes too far, and then Pat jumps in on it.
Yeah.
And so, without fail, anytime Pat does something wrong, his officer is right behind him.
Yeah, so they basically get arrested and get dropped off at the house.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know if they got arrested. They got brought in. Something happened, and they get dropped off at the house. And they're like, what happened? The Eagles lost. What'd y'all do? None of this was Pat's fault. None of this was Pat's fault.
He tried to stay out of it.
None of it was Pat's. And then all of a sudden, Tiffany shows up, and she's like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah.
And it's a really funny moment.
It's a spiral of everything going wrong, even though Pat tried to do the right thing. He tried to make two people happy, and he tried to stay out of the chaos, and it still just sucked him in.
And then his dad's like, listen here, girlie, you've been nothing but trouble ever since you showed up. He's like, I've been nothing but trouble. She's like, yeah, that's what I think. He's like,
and she proceeds to prove that the Eagles have won every time Pat has been with her.
Every time Pat has been with her, either the Eagles have won or the Pirates have won. Every sporting event that took place while they were together,
in association with Philly.
That sporting team won.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
And she has the statistics and everything that she just miraculously just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, yeah. And he goes, hold on a second. All right. Well, he's kind of, you see Robert De Niro all
calculating.
Right, you might be right about that.
Yeah.
And then that's when Randy, it's Randy, I think, right? Is it Randy?
Who? His brother?
No, not his brother. Is it Randy?
I don't know what.
Oh yeah, it's Randy. Yeah, Randy is his Robert De Niro's best friend. The one he does the bets with.
Yeah.
And so he's like, listen here, how about we do the double or nothing? And they come up with the idea with the parlay and stuff. And then he comes up with a deal that's just too good. And Randy's like, I'm not going to take that deal. That deal. He's like, but I do like that deal of parlay.
Which is if the Eagles win and Tiffany and Pat at least get a score of 5 at the dance competition.
Yes. And then what's called Pat doesn't want to do it. He leaves. I'm not doing this. Not putting the stress on me. He goes out the front door. And also, mind you, Nikki's wrote back. And he gets the letter. So he's going to read the letter that Tiffany has dropped off. So he goes out the front door and he's reading the letter while they're talking in the back. And it's funny because this is when we find out Pat's mom and dad are talking to Tiffany. He's like, we got to get him to agree to do this.
The way to do it is lie and say Nikki's going to come.
Yeah. And she's like, I agree with doing that. And then Robert De Niro's like, you don't agree with doing that, but you agree with telling her where he runs so she can run into him all the time. And then
so Pat's mom was behind Tiffany finding out where Pat was running every single time.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious because you don't know that. Yeah. And it's so funny because like when you find like
you think it's all coincidental and then you're like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is when then it cuts to Pat reading the letter and basically he's reading it. And he's like, and he gets to the point where he's like, if I'm following the signs, and he's also heard Tiffany say that in a argument or conversation with him. And that's when we hear, oh, Nikki didn't write this letter. Yeah. Tiffany wrote this letter. Yeah. But he doesn't let her know that happened.
He keeps it to himself. So now you get back to the night of the dance.
Yeah, we'll fast forward to the night of the dance.
They're up in the attic. Tiffany's parents are at Pat's parents' house. They're trying to get ready, but they're both kind of like on edge and nervous. Mm-hmm. And so they get ready. They make it to the ballroom. Ultimately, all the adults are watching the game because, again, a part of the deal is the game. While Tiffany and Pat are getting ready. However, Tiffany notices that Nikki is in fact there, and it makes her spiral.
Yeah, she goes to the bar. Out.
Yeah, she starts freaking out. She goes to the bar, ends up getting drunk.
Yeah, she's talking to her sister like, "What did you do? Why are you doing that? You're killing me. You're killing me. Why are you doing this to me?" And it's funny because like this is when like I know it's low key, it's acting, but like I think these are like the scenes when people like fall in love with Jennifer Lawrence because it doesn't feel like acting. It feels like a real response.
Yeah, that's to that situation.
And the thing is like, and that's the cool thing about her. Like she's not she's an actress, but she didn't go to school for acting. Yeah. So like she didn't have any methods. She turned the camera on and she just went, and that's what came out of her.
So Pat also notices that Nikki's there, but he's more like calm and collected.
Yeah, and he's more focusing on Tiffany.
Yeah, getting Tiffany, finding out where Tiffany is because they have to go on stage. And, all these other competitors are like Dancing with the Star type level competitors. Yeah. Well, the Eagles end up winning, and now it is, Pat has found Tiffany. She has been drinking, but they're still going to put on this, put on their dance. And so ultimately they're getting ready to do the dance. And I think, is that when Tiffany runs off like one more time?
No. She runs off when she saw Nikki and he finds her at the bar.
That was at the end, yeah. So they do the dance and they end up getting a score of 5 and they're like ecstatic. And the whole family's ecstatic because that means they won,
And the dance
Robert
is great.
De Niro won the bet. Oh yeah, it's silly, it's sweet, it's fun. He messes up and gets her like stuck with her crotch in his face.
So apparently, it was when I was watching an interview with Jennifer Lawrence, it was written that she was going to be a good dancer and they were going to do well. All right.
Oh yeah.
But out of all the training and all the practices that Jennifer Lawrence did, she just couldn't freaking dance. So they rewrote it.
Some people just have no rhythm.
They rewrote it to make it a little bit more comical. You know what I mean? They kind of changed the original storyline for it to be a little bit funnier and stuff like that. So we go like, okay, they're like they are not
average Joes of dancing.
Yeah.
So they get a 5 and everyone's like cheering. And all the other dancers like, I've never seen people so happy over a score of 5. And unfortunately, Pat makes his way over to Nikki and starts talking to her. And that's all Tiffany sees. So Tiffany just books it, takes her shoes off, gets outside, takes her shoes off, puts her dress coat on, just heads out. And then this is where you get Logan's favorite scene between Robert De Niro and Pat.
He comes up to him. He's like,
where's Tiffany?
Where's Tiffany? Where's Tiffany? He's like, she left. He's like, what do you mean she left? She's, what's called? She left. What's called? He goes, now listen here. I know you don't want to listen to me. I know. He's like, I didn't even listen to my father. And I know you don't want to listen to me, but I got to tell you something. All right. He goes, I'll tell you one thing right now. He's like, that girl loves you. I don't know if Tiffany ever loved you, but
Nikki ever loved you.
Sorry. Oh, it's called. I don't know. That girl Tiffany loves you. I don't know if Nikki ever loved you, but she sure as hell doesn't love you now. All right. There, you got a moment and you got to seize this moment. And this is the moment right here. You got to grab it. You got to hold on to it. He's like, it's a sin if you don't reach back. It's a sin if you don't reach back. And this is that moment. And you need to make the decision. And that's when he just like tells his dad, he's like, I love you. And he's like,
they give each other a hug. He goes off.
And he goes after, oh God, I love
and this is the moment where you find out that So he catches up with Tiffany. He's trying to express that he does like her.
He gives her a
wants
letter
to be with her. Yeah. He gives her a letter, which is to her.
Yeah, he's like, give it to your own damn self. He's like, no, it's to you.
Yes. And it's essentially a love letter.
Yeah.
And then they're happily ever after.
Yeah, he's like basically reads it to her, and she's like, she starts reading it out loud, and it's so like she reads out, and when she finds out it's to her, she's like, and then like she does that look at the camera, and then she reads it, whatever, and she's like, you love me?
Yeah.
I love that scene. You love me?
Yeah. And then you get them in the future, and they're all like curled up in the corner chair of the living room, and the family's all happy, and they're watching the Eagles game. So it's just a very wholesome ending.
Long story short is like he basically expresses, I loved you ever since I laid eyes on you.
Yes.
From that first night at the dinner.
So I'm guessing when he was talking to Nikki, he was saying his final goodbyes to Nikki.
Yeah. And I think it's really cool. I like the fact that like we don't know what he said to her. And
it doesn't matter. I mean, they nodded and they walked away from one another. But yeah, so it's a very wholesome movie. It's a very endearing movie. It's definitely a good movie to highlight a father and son relationship as well as like a love story between, a couple or whatever.
Like I said, regardless of
I will say I do like this more than A Star is Born. If we're going to talk about like Bradley Cooper love stories.
Yeah, 100%. I do like this movie more than A Star is Born.
Yeah.
I do.
The acting isn't cheesy in this. And also Jennifer Lawrence's dry humor and his dry humor and lack of filter is just hilarious.
No, this movie's great. She did a great job. And like American Hustle, which is a fantastic movie. And then Joy. I love Joy. Joy's another great movie. I don't know. It's like, it's... This just, you just got you got Robert freaking De Niro in it. I mean, it's even the character actors. I don't remember his brother's name, but
everybody was good and comical. Yeah, the doctor was comical. Chris Tucker was comical. Everyone was very enjoying to watch.
Yeah. It's a great movie. It is a movie that I really enjoy watching, and I do like. If I want a feel good movie, this is one of my feel good movies because I like movies with happy endings and so forth like that.
Yeah.
And this has a happy ending. It's not like freaking like Uncut Gems, which has like the
Uncut Gems.
Oh my God, that ending. Oh, I hated that ending. Yeah. I was like, you can't just do this to me. Ugh.
I don't even remember how it ended.
Oh, he gets killed at the end.
I know. I mean, I didn't remember that, but I know that. I know that I don't know. No, I know we watched it, but I just didn't care for it. It's just gone. Just poof. After we turn it off.
You're like, and it's moved to the trash can.
Yeah. A little trash can noise like in the computer, like, yeah. Pretty much. That's how I work my mentals. I
agree. Yeah. No, there's like I feel like with the more movies I watch and stuff like that, it's like, what can I get rid of? What common knowledge I have now that I can get rid of to make room for this movie?
Logan claims that he gets rid of things that he should know to store other things that he should know.
First off, okay, side tangent. It's been proven that the human brain is almost like a file. And your brain it has a limit. Most people, obviously there's an exception to the rule.
How many gigabytes is it?
Huh?
How many gigabytes?
I don't know.
How much for more?
I don't know. We have to watch Johnny Mnemonic to find out.
I don't even know what that is.
His brain is a storage device in the future. It's not a good movie. It's a Keanu Reeves movie. But anyway, yes. So like basically, your brain is like a file cabinet. Dreamcatcher does a really good, that's good. Okay. I'll wrap it up. Your brain's like a file cabinet. And yeah, there's a point in time where, when certain moments to remember, you do have to delete other old stuff.
Delete. That's how Logan Hill is. Delete.
You get rid of it. You get rid of it. I mean, yeah, it's like, like if you get a new core moment that's very beautiful and kind to you, you want to remember all the details for it, you do have to free up some space to keep that core moment.
Yeah. I mean, the cloud is only so big.
It's true.
It's 99 cents a month for another gigabyte. So my iPhone just told me. It's a ridiculous subscription. But yeah, so that is Silver Linings Playbook or Silver Playbook's Lining, whichever one I call it in the moment.
Silver Linings Playbook, that's right.
I know what it is.
Oh.
I said it right the first time. But not in the first 6 cuts of me introing this. So there's that. But yeah, so it's a good love story. I guess now we will bring you Spider-Man so we can so Logan can talk about that.
So you liked it. You liked it.
I don't even know which one that is.
No, you like that. I'm talking about this movie.
Oh. I don't know what Spider-Man is which.
No, I'm talking about this movie.
Yes, I did like this movie.
Okay.
I really like Jennifer Lawrence.
Okay.
So,
see, there we go. See, we now we're back on track.
It's not a favorite, so
But
I'm not
at least you
adding to
liked
that
it.
list.
At least you liked it. Because I would say we were on a track of a lot of movies. You were like, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Or I just didn't have any feelings towards it. Some movies I'm just meh, no feelings towards.
No, but this one's this one's good, and I'm glad that you liked it.
Yes, it was very enjoying to watch.
Low key, we've watched this multiple times, and the first showing I showed it to you, you didn't like it because and then we rewatched it, and then
What,
you
did we
liked
watch it when we first met?
Yeah.
Probably because the thing is, I was never a movie person, and you were a movie person. So then we always watched movies, and I just didn't really care for movies.
That's the thing is like,
I still don't.
that does a movie review podcast with their.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, because like the first.
What's the thing where it's like, let me show you how I got here, or let me show you how we got here.
Oh no! Oh, the first my mom met my dad.
Yeah, or just in general, like a movie will show like
I'm Ryan or whatever.
No, but it'll be like a movie or something. It'll be like a big crazy moment, and it's like, okay, hold on. Let's rewind. Let's show you how you got here.
That's more like a Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
Because we just watched that not too long ago.
Well, no, I mean they do it in other stuff.
No, yeah. I'm saying that's the most current movie. But yeah, like because this movie, like I showed you. I was like, all right. I was like,
we watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. We watched A Star Is Born.
No,
watched.
But when we first got together, the first movie we watched together was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
And then excuse me.
Because you really like the song that he plays on his MP3 player.
Well, there's certain scenes of it I really liked. And then because I was like, okay, we watched the first one because I really want to watch the second one because it just came out.
Yeah.
So I just bought the Blu-ray of it. So I was like, okay, let's watch that. And then we watched Iron Giant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is your childhood favorite.
Those are the
movie.
first three movies I remember showing you. I was like, we got to watch these movies. You haven't seen them before.
Yeah, I remember Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's it.
I don't even. I mean, that's.
We watched that when before we'd even organized the living room or whatever. When the TV was still in the breakfast bar.
Oh, the apartment?
Yeah. That's when we watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I didn't know what to do. It was the most weird.
No one knows what to do in the
most weird breakdown of apartment.
Now we got a weirder one as a living room. But yeah, so next up, I guess, is Spider-Man. So we will talk about the Spider-Verse.
Well, we were talking about.
Josie and the Pussycats.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, so add it to the list. Josie and the Pussycats is truly one of my favorite movies. So
great movie. I can't wait to talk about it.
Oh, love it.
It's good. It's very. It was. I don't know. It is the perfect make fun of modern culture, and it still works. And then also even with today's,
they're cute and they're fun, and everyone has the bright eyeshadow and the low rise pants. And
I feel like when she's like, "Why are you here?" She goes, "I don't know. I was in the comic."
Yeah.
That's why you exist in the movie.
Like that, yeah. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining us for Silver Linings Playbook. Next up will either be Spider-Verse or
also
Josie and the Pussycats.
Also, if you saw us at the CryptCon, thank you so much.
Yeah, for coming and checking us out.
Yeah, and if
we had such a good weekend, so thank you to Vintage Cinema Views and Crypt Video Rentals for putting on that event. It was really, really great.
It was awesome, and for all our new subscribers that met us there, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
But yep, so that's it for this week. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you all next time. Bye.